Let me tell you this, if you like to learn new things, this is for you. And watch this in its entirety because it's very interesting. An ancient item that reveals the tribulation. And this is something I love. I love this type of Hebraic teaching. The biblical culture was different than our culture today. And when you read certain scriptures in the Bible, you have to understand the culture, the agricultural culture, the way of thinking in the Greek and Roman time. You read the Bible tell us about lamps. Keep your lamp trimmed and burning. We use light bulbs. What does it mean to keep a lamp trimmed and burning? I'm going to show you a picture of an oil lamp. An oil lamp, there's different kinds, different designs. They were made out of clay. And you put a wick in the mouth of it, and there's oil in it. And so you light the wick, and that's what causes it to burn. As long as there's oil in the lamp burns. When the oil runs out, the lamp will quit burning. And that's the parable of the virgins in Matthew chapter 25. The second thing is tombs. Now, when we talk about graves today, we bury people 6 foot under. They do not do that in the Middle East. Especially in Israel, I should say. They don't do it that way. In Israel, Jews are buried on top of the ground on a slab, and then they put like a tomb over top of it. It's like a box. It's like a limestone box, but the person is under that. So they're not under the ground. They're actually on top of the ground with that protecting them. We can show you a picture of that from the Mount of Olives. But the tombs in Jesus' day were actually tombs which were made of, it was a cave. And they cut the caves out with niches on the inside. And those were the tombs back in the time of Jesus, where they put these clay boxes called ossuaries in the tombs with the bones of the people, etc. And so those were the tombs. So when you think of tombs, we think of grave markers in a cemetery. It's different in Jesus' day. A manger. What is a manger? Forget the Christmas plays you've seen in the West. A manger is made of stone. And then it has a cut in it, and it's a feeding trough for the animals. And they actually have a hole in some of them that you still see in existence where they would tie the animal to the feeding trough. So that's what Jesus was laid in, and that was called a manger in the King James translation of the Bible. Then there is grinding, and that's where the story gets interesting relating to the idea of the tribulation. Matthew 24, 41 through 42. 2 women shall be grinding at the mill, one to be taken, the other left. Watch therefore, for you do not know what hour the Lord comes. So 2 will be working, and it talks about grinding at the mill, and 1 is taken and 1 is left. And I don't have the time to get into that teaching, but I can prove to you that is a picture of the rapture of the church, not the end of the tribulation that some teach. So you cannot grind. Now watch me now. There's a harvest, and then there is the grinding. There is no grinding at the mill until there has first been a harvest that has been taken out of the field, and then it's put there on the elements and the machinery that was used for grinding. Now, the Bible said the harvest is at the end of the age. And the harvest is not just referring to wheat and barley. It's referring to the harvest of souls that are going to be harvested into the kingdom of God. So at the end of the age, or at the end of time, or the end of days, is when the great harvest comes. Now, in the New Testament times, there was the barley harvest, which was usually in the spring, and there was the wheat harvest, which happened around the time of Passover in the early summer, because the barley ripened first and the wheat harvest later. You would winnow wheat, meaning you would throw it up in the air and the chaff would come off of it when the wind would blow, but you had to crush wheat. Barley was winnowed, wheat was crushed. I want you to keep that in mind. So when it says they're grinding at the mill, this would have reference to the wheat harvest, where they are grinding the wheat at the mill, where there were millstones set up, etc., to do that. Now, once again, they are not harvesting it. The harvest has been accomplished. It has been brought to the mill. Now the separation, very important you understand that, is beginning to take place. Because in the New Testament parables, there's always the theme of separation at the end of the age. Separation of the wheat and the tare, separation from the wheat and the goat, separation of the good fish and the bad fish in the net. So the idea of separation is here. Now let's talk for a moment about the word tribulation. The Hebrew word for tribulation is sarah, and it means adversity, affliction, distress, and tribulation. Then in the Greek, it's the Greek word thlipsis, and which means anguish, burden, and persecution. So the word tribulation itself carries adversity, affliction, anguish, persecution, and distress. So the tribulation, which is coming in the future, called the Great Tribulation, headed up at the season of the Antichrist and his 10 kings, is a time of adversity, affliction, distress, persecution, anguish. It's also a time of the judgment of God. Now, I was at the Talmudic village in Israel, and I was also at Nazareth Village, which is a beautiful place to visit, several years ago, and I saw this object, and I asked the man, what is this object? And he stunned me when he gave me what the Latin word was for this. It's called a tribulum, and this is an actual picture of it right here, tribulum. And it is a board made out of wood in which rock or metal can be embedded at the bottom of it. And what they would do is a man would stand on this, and there would be a rope that would be tied to a mule, for example, and he would direct that mule, and they would lay the grain down, and this board would go over the grain. And wheat is very, very hard, very, very hard. If you know anything about real wheat, it's extremely hard. You can't just put it in your mouth and bite it. So you have to separate what's called the stalk or the chaff, the covering of it, to get the grain out, right? So they use this by crushing the crushing from the board, from the tribulum, separates the chaff from the wheat. So this is the idea of where we get the word tribulation from. Now, this word tribulum in Latin is not the Greek word for tribulation, phlipsis, nor the Hebrew word for tribulation found in the Old Testament, but this is the imagery of what the tribulation does. Here's what it does. First of all, this board is used during the wheat harvest. The wheat is when you separate the wheat from the tares at the end of the age. And the Bible says the angels will come and separate the wheat from the tare. The wheat are the children of the kingdom. The tares are the children of Satan that are in the church. You heard me. They are in the church. They're in the body, but they're not. They're in it, but not of it. They're in the church, but not of it. They call themselves Christians, but they are not. Because Jesus said, many will say unto me in that day, did I not do this and did I not do that? And he'll say, depart from me, I never knew you. It's a very tough verse in Matthew's gospel. But the tribulation is a time of separation. It is a time where the wheat, which is the wheat harvest, is collected and the grain is crushed. Now remember, there will be 144,000 Jews sealed with the seal of God in the tribulation period. And there will be others that will go through the tribulation and experience the crushing and the anguish of what is called the tribulation. So what I'm saying to you is, here is an object from the time of ancient Israel that existed in the time of John, when he wrote the apocalypse, in the time of Jesus, that reveals to you that the tribulation is a crushing and a separating that will take place. And you can see it in the book of Daniel, and you can see it also in the book of Matthew. And so that's what the tribulation will be. And this board, ancient board that was used in Jesus' day is an example. Tribulum, the tribulum board, which separates the chaff from the wheat. So if you've not seen that or heard about that, that's a very interesting study. And I'd like for you to give this a thumbs up and share this with as many people as possible who love learning new things. God bless you, and we'll see you next time. Stay tuned for something very special that our ministry wants to advertise to you.
Are you ready to unlock profound prophetic insights and explore the mysteries of God's divine plan? Perry Stone invites you to dive into an extraordinary teaching resource that unravels ancient truths, spiritual warfare strategies, and end-time revelations. Introducing a dynamic collection of audio teachings designed to equip and inspire believers in this prophetic season. This powerful prophetic resource features 3 insightful audio CD sets, plus a bonus CD packed with surprising revelations about the rapture. The first teaching of the 2 CD set is titled The Battle of the Gods and Beasts, and dives into a stunning exploration of ancient false gods and their modern-day spiritual implications. Discover how Christ countered the dangerous idols of the Roman and Greek empires and how these revelations impact spiritual warfare today. The second CD examines the future 2 beasts rising, revealing how 2 demonically influenced men will fulfill key apocalyptic prophecies. The second 2 CD resource, Yahweh's Prophetic Clock, enters the much debated subject of how God is counting prophetic time to establish the timing of the rapture. This teaching explains the mystery linked with the number 7 and the numerous other prophetic cycles and patterns. This eye-opening 2-hour teaching provides one of the clearest explanations of God's prophetic calendar, offering fresh insights that will deepen your understanding. The third audio teaching, When Angels Show Up, includes 2 compelling messages. The first reveals the angelic covenant of protection, an essential understanding for navigating this dangerous season. The second message, How to Release Angels During Prophetic Seasons, teaches how to access heavenly messengers during times of increased demonic and angelic activities as prophecies are being fulfilled. This is an important revelation on angels. We are also including a bonus CD, The Chaos of the Rapture. Within 48 hours after the rapture, the chaos of Revelation 6 will be unleashed. Learn how millions of people missing and the atomic effect of the rapture and resurrection will send the world into darkness and complete confusion. This comprehensive teaching package includes 3 teachings, 6 CDs, plus the unique single CD on the chaos of the rapture, offering over 7 hours of prophetic teaching. For a limited time, you can receive this prophetic teaching package for a donation of $30 or more. Call us toll-free at 1-888-21-BREAD. That's 1-888-212-7323. Or order online at perrystone.org. Additionally, you can write to us at Perry Stone, P.O. Box 3595, Cleveland, Tennessee 37320, and enclose your gift of $30 or more to request CD package offer YP-147. This package is also available as a digital download on our website. We look forward to hearing from you soon.
If you enjoyed this YouTube content, there's an important website you should know about: perrystone.org. Perrystone.org is an essential resource for the latest books, audiovisual presentations, and digital products from Perry Stone Ministries, resources that cover the same kinds of topics discussed in the program you just watched. Stop in and see all that's available at perrystone.org.